Greetings, comrades. I am Admiral Andre. Welcome back to the 12th episode of our KSP Breaking Ground career. I'm starting out here in the master plan today because we still need to tick off a few things here. So let me get my thick paintbrush with a green line and just see what we can do. This is always so satisfying to mark off some of the things we have done. So we are with the Project Harmony orbital flight at the moment, of course our two Kerbal spacecraft. We skipped the uncrewed orbital flight test. We also skipped the uncrewed suborbital flight test because we operate like that. The Kerbals are brave, you know. So we did the suborbital flight during our actual orbital attempt, so orbital flight can also be marked off. And the two crew spacecraft, I think it works well, we can keep going with that. So yes, the spacewalk is sometime in the future. I think, do I first have to upgrade the astronaut center, or did we do that already? I'll have to check now. But then our next mission is a spacewalk. We also have to do a rendezvous because this is a leftover still from our previous Gladius capsule joint manned launch thing. And then we have to go from there. So with the Harmony capsule we shall have so many options because it's a much longer duration craft, 7 to 13 days, and also much more capable since we can now take effectively a passenger because we have our pilot, and then we can take someone who is not specializing as a pilot as well without having to worry about probe cores. Right, so then eventually after we do the basics we can do a rendezvous with an EVA or a docking with an EVA, etc, etc. So this is why I have this here as an inspiration. And I just have to say also I'm really happy today because just about an hour or so ago I was updating some information and I saw that one of the chapters that I wrote, now that was last year already, was published actually on the 2nd of August, so I didn't know about it until today. And the chapter is in a bigger book, of course. It's an academic book, specialist publication with Springer. And in that I was writing about KSP. That was one of the things I was writing about. I was also writing about other kinds of video games and the importance of them. So I'm very proud of that, comrades. I have to say it's a step forward, and I am glad to be adding to the conversation of the educational value of video games. Now obviously it doesn't go into depth in terms of just KSP and its kind of uses as an academic educational tool. It was more like a review of various video games and their aspects and how that ultimately contributes. Because actually this came from an academic assignment that I did back in 2017, which was on, now I have to think, well, it was on looking at various ways in which outer space is depicted in everyday life. And I decided I was not going to exactly follow the order of the instructions of the assignment, because it was basically asking us to look at how space is manifested in ordinary life and you know, for what purpose basically. So in advertising or in movies, and you know, it doesn't always have the most accurate representation, and it's often abused or misused to sell things or to, you know, it's more romanticized elements which doesn't really educate the public. So anyway, I thought I was going to flip it upside down and I was going to write about how the public can receive good education through media, in this case video games. And yes, I did very well in that assignment. I have found, this is also a tip if you are studying or doing something, if you try, but again don't blame me if it goes wrong, eh? If you try and take your assignment and you flip it a little upside down, or you look at it from a different perspective, you usually get very good grades for that, because it shows a different kind of thinking, more creative thinking. Anyway, and eventually I had the opportunity to get this published with Springer, and now I'm very happy today. So hey, that's one thing, hey? Anyway, let's get back to the game. I'll also probably not be able to record tomorrow. I'm having a whole day long meeting at the local university. And yes, so it will be probably too exhausting for me to record tomorrow. I'll try on Wednesday again, but that will be the last for this week, because I have to prepare and obviously do my lectures and all sorts of things later this week. Anyway, so I think today let us try doing some kind of a lunar orbiter possibly, and we can see what we need to do with our 2 crew spacecraft as well. So see you in the game, comrades. Welcome back, comrades. It's nighttime again and the crickets are singing loudly in the background. I should just also add about the publication. The book itself is not appearing until next year. The publisher did say 2020, but it does appear online now. And also that the way that I discuss the video games and so on is more about awareness making, just to add to a conversation that these kinds of video games have more to them than might meet the eye, basically. So it's not, as I said, an in-depth look at KSP and how it's being used, for example, through Kerbal Edu or things like that. It's simply making awareness of that fact. So anyway, now back to the game, comrades. Enough yapping about other things. Also, speaking of other things, maybe I'll do that. On Saturday, I met my boss as well. This was, as I said, a work kind of breakfast meeting thing. And I have a very interesting situation, because my boss and the company I work for are based in Europe, and I obviously am based here in South Africa. It works perfectly fine for me. But so anyway, I was seeing my boss, and she was actually bringing me a few gifts as well. And she was in Russia a while ago for some high-level conference, etc., etc. And she brought me this gift. I'll show you a picture of that on the screen now. It's a chocolate, but it's something special for me. It's so those of you who speak Russian will be able to tell me what is said on the package. But yes, it has Yuri Gagarin on there, so I'm very happy about that. Anyway, back to the game, comrades. Enough other things again. Let's have a look at our contracts. There's a new one, and I like this. This is important. This is easy money, and it's simply science data from space. So let's grab it immediately. Explore the moon. We still have to orbit that. And test the heat shield. This is important that I remember this. Between 40 and 50 and etc, etc. We'll have to see, because I have to run a test. It's not a passive thing. Right, I think there's Simone, I guess I'll say just Simone to pronounce, but it's a he, not a her, so that's another thing. Anyway, Simone. Right, I think maybe we'll try and rescue Simone today, because I'm scared that his lack of snacks will affect our reputation, and I did figure this out. There was also a comment about this. Thank you, comrades. If we want to have a look, we just go to our menu, settings, and difficulty options. There's snacks. So this will tell us that the Kerbals consume roughly 1 snack per meal, and they have 3 meals per day, as any good Kerbal should. So that's roughly 3 snacks per day. Now, why do I say roughly? Because some Kerbals eat more, some eat less. So at snack time, Kerbals eat random amounts, and the time between snacking is also random. You can turn this off, but hey, that's more like real life, right? The recycling thing we're not doing now, and I read there's a problem with this. It consumes enormous amounts of electricity to recycle snacks. And there was a post, a recent one on the mod page, where they had something like 75,000 charge on a station, and it was used up very fast in the recycling. So we won't mess with that now. I just want to see here a random penalty, so hungry Kerbals will hurt our reputation by a low amount. Also our bottom line, we get fined for that. Eesh! They can also ruin science. If they're hungry, obviously they can't do good science. And they can also faint. They could die, but I think let's not do that. Maybe we can turn this on, but if they skip too many meals, they can starve to death. Realism, yes, but is that what we want? Tell me, comrade, should we do that? Or should we be merciful? Stage recovery is obviously the other mod that I have, so you can see the data here. And toolbar control, that's just a random thing. We can also change the various difficulty settings here. I just want to mention this to Comrade Uncle Mike because I'm checking out his series on YouTube regularly, and he started around the same time as me. So I again very strongly encourage you to go there because he has experience in the US space sector, and you can certainly see it when he does his announcements. It's just like the real thing. Anyway. So he's also doing a career. But Comrade Uncle Mike, this is just again for you. He put his slide up to 10 with the G-force tolerance. But really, as far as I understand this thing, it's it's a multiplier to how much G-force they can tolerate. So if you put it on like 0.6, then it's more or less accurate for real life. They'll pass out after a few seconds of high G. But if you put it on super high, then they'll be extremely resistant. But anyway, apparently that's very difficult or impossible to change on an Xbox. And I would wish that the developers update their Xbox versions more regularly. Anyway, that's it for now. Let's stop yapping. I was thinking... okay, maybe it's impossible, so I should just keep yapping. At some point, because you can do this more difficult in your playstyle and disable the extra ground stations, I'm using them for now because that is what the real life also uses, the DSN, Deep Space Network. But we could disable this at some point for extra difficulty. Then we have to put satellites around Kerbal. Uncle Mike does that in his playthrough, but anyway, we'll just cancel for now. So roughly 3 snacks per day, so that just makes the calculation a bit easier. Now it's time to launch a rocket. Let's do that. We've spoken so much, or I spoke so much, I should take the responsibility there. But anyway, I just want to see where is Simone or Sam Oni or well, we'll figure that out. His capsule should be in a prograde orbit. I've learnt my lesson. So about 80 kilometers prograde, so we're not going to do that from the desert. I think we might also go for the Rendezvous. Why not? Because as we saw, our new rocket does have a great capability, so let's use that and actually go out again. I do have some tea, comrades, so let me have some. Just get to the morning since we launch from here now. But we'll pretend our resources and so on are still split between the desert base and this one, so it's not exclusive. Never did it from the high latitude base yet, but that can still come. Right, so the last time we did Harmony 1 flow capsule, so now, oh yes, okay, just stop right here. I just have to make a correction. I did see the comment about our previous launch. I just want to pronounce that properly. It doesn't look like I actually saved that one, but it was the satellite. It should be saved here. It's the one with a very long name. Right there, Echo 1. That's why we can't see it. I'm just going to load this. So that name, I just have to go into Google Translate. So forgive me, comrades. Right, comrades, that is a Czech name. Mates, it sounds like. So forgive me for that, comrades. I was reading it as an Australian. Mateship is obviously a big thing in Australia, but Mates 989. Thank you for that. So do guide me if I make mistakes like that, please, comrades. Right, now let's go to flow. I'm going to load this. We can use the same thing again. I just need to rename it to Harmony 2. So it's so easy now. We just reuse our craft Obviously when I have more parts I will add them. Now, new name, comrades. Let me go to the list. Don't forget to leave your comments. Also, don't forget that I do add comments, names as I see them. So obviously it gets added to the bottom of the list then. So I will get around to them. So let me find the next one today. Right, so the next one is Comrade Marcy Mark. There we go. I like that one. I'm old enough to remember Marky Mark. So there we are. Anyway, let us just have a look at our pilots. And for this we will be using obviously only one pilot, so I think Jeb is fine for this. Now I can also see that the time is coming to start using RCS for Rendezvous, but we do use an RCS pack on the bottom of the service module. And yes, it was also pointed out, of course, that the Gemini craft had a double service pack, which is very true. I did try to make that or recreate it in some very rough way. Long time ago, before Making History came out, I also used the Blue Dog Design Bureau mod for that, which they don't even have 2 stages, but of course the retro pack and the service pack as well. So yes, this is a simplified version, the service module that Squad added. I don't complain about it because we can still use other parts and mods and so on, but for simplified play, this is still a good one. So there we are, but of course this is not an accurate Gemini. Right, so I still wanted to do something. Now what was that something? Oh yes, we have to do this. I want to use the upper stage to completely place us into orbit, but to do that I need to deorbit the thing afterwards. And to do that I need a probe core. So I can put it on the bottom or on the top. Let's just put it on the top, and I will say hibernate in warp, always a good idea, and we'll just add 2 batteries to that, just so that it starts a good practice. I want to do an episode on or not even necessarily an episode, but I do have an idea for an episode which I might start my very first attempt at monetizing a video, because there's nothing like that on YouTube already about the space sector, something specific. But anyway, another aspect is about the debris mitigation standards recommended by the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So that does have a set of guidelines. Actually, let's have a look at that now. Right, comrades, here we are at UNOOSA. This is the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. And they have a compendium here, which is actually a really good resource. I have been on this website so many times because it's a really good resource for my research, and I obviously do research in the sector, but debris mitigation is not my particular area. My boss works in this area much more, and she's actually one of the countries of Europe's representative to the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So she is very much high up in that business, as it were. And it's interesting, I seem to find myself in good company just by default in a way, because my PhD supervisor is now I have to think, what is she? She was appointed by the UN Secretary General in a very specific role. I'm just gonna look that up because I can't remember it. Eish, I hope she doesn't see this video. Right, so I had a look. Yes, she is a special representative to the UN Secretary General. So yes, so she has very good company, and thereby for through extension, so do I. So anyway, that said, let's just have a look at this, obviously with KSP playing in the background. So this is a compendium of standards adopted by different states. Now you won't see South Africa here and so on, because even though we are a member of COPWAS, Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, we don't have specific national standards. But COPWAS itself has one too, the Committee on blah 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 Space Mitigation Guidelines, which are sort of kind of a default type of thing. The EU has its own guidelines, etc., etc. Now this is a very short document, so it's just the basics. From a technical point of view, the guidelines are applicable to mission planning and operation of newly designed spacecraft and orbital stages, and if possible to existing ones. There's a total of 7 guidelines, so we'll try to include some of this to whatever extent is practical in our campaign. To limit debris released during nominal operations, so obviously to return upper stages and so on. To minimize the potential for breakups during operational phases. Now for that, it doesn't really apply to KSP because we don't have random breakups and things. To limit the probability of accidental collisions. Again, for KSP that doesn't matter so much, but for real life, collisions in orbit create huge debris problems because the actual things fragment into many more things, which can hit more things, etc. But yes, that is one. To avoid intentional destruction and other harmful activities, China, we are looking at you, because China's missile test increased global space debris by about 1/3 or something like that. It basically reversed all mitigation attempts for the past several decades. If you look, we did this in our space course, someone discussed that. And anyway, so that was a really big problem. And India obviously also did one recently. I think it's not to such an extent, it's lower orbit, but still these things are harmful. To minimize the potential for post-mission breakups resulting from stored energy, in other words, stored rocket fuel that might ignite and things like that. For us, again, that's not a problem. And to limit the long-term presence of spacecraft and launch vehicle stages in LEO, low Earth orbit, or geosynchronous after their end of mission. So move them to graveyard orbits or re-enter them completely after they are finished. So I guess this also speaks to the very first point again, to limit debris in general. So return your orbital stages. Of course, in case B we just press delete anyway, but that's just an interesting thing. If we want to look at the USA, for example, but you can also go into this, they have an 8-page document, so lots of various regulations and things. But there they also speak about store energy must be removed by depleting fuel, no unplanned physical contact, rapid unplanned disassembly, to use KSP language. But anyway, you can look at this yourself as well. So just search for Compendium of Space Debris Mitigation Standards. Back to the gameplay, comrades. We've gone into more serious things now, and it's time to just have fun again. Right, so that's in there now. No parachute here because it's going to burn up, hopefully anyway. It's interesting that debris mitigation doesn't actually speak about impacts on the ground. What was that satellite, the Cosmos one that hit in Canada that spread radioactive debris? And obviously Space Lab in Western Australia as well. But anyway, that should be included. I'm sure it's somewhere or under different standards, but making sure that your space debris re-enters in a controlled manner, or ideally in a safe place anyway. Right, so yes, just want to check everything here. That should separate, and this must also be recovered. Let's do that. This upper or first stage really is worth a lot of money, so I want this back. Now that's up here, so 2 times should be enough since it's empty anyway. Minimum pressure high, and move them in. Right, that's all I need to do there, and of course move it to the correct place. Right, I'm going to save this now, and then we'll resave this under the sub-assembly. So this will be the Paragon 1B still. That didn't change. And obviously we can use that to put other heavy things into orbit, because if we really think about this, I obviously didn't use the full upper stage last time, but the payload itself weighs 3.4 tons, so it has at least a 3.4 ton capability to get to low carbon orbit for this particular thing. So this is almost like a Centaur upper stage. Right, launch pad, let's go and drink some more tea, please. Right, Jeb is the only pilot of this craft, so everything looks good. Where is our comrade? Simone's heap set as target, and he has already passed our position, so we have to just time warp. Jeb can eat some of the snacks, and that is not good. It's too late already, but we'll make it work, comrades. Let's go. Right, I like this rocket. I want to make things that are interesting, not just a plain thing that you slap together before a mission. It has to be nice. Anyway, there's our comrade. Yes, so Friday is my turn to speak. Ish! It's also why I shouldn't record before then. Need to save my voice up for that. 2 hours of speaking. Well. Right, comrades, I think, well, we can still speak for now. But I think I've spoken enough. I think let's speed up until we get to orbit. Right, comrades, we did get the messages. Our 2 stages were recovered, so that was about 5,000 or 6,000 Kerbal bucks. Now, of course, Comrade Simone is in a higher orbit than we are, so we need to be in a lower orbit to catch up, which is not a problem, of course. So let's just get into an orbit for now, and we see something happening here. What do we get? No, that's too low. Alright, let's just check this thing. Now, that was about an 80 kilometer orbit, actually 89, so even better. And we're in the 70s, so that's just fine. Yes, anyway, I think let's speed up, comrades. I'll speak to you again soon while we catch up to our comrade. Okay, we're catching up now, so I think I just want to raise our apoapse to meet Comrade Simone's heap. Not target, please. Orbital telemetry. And oops, okay, that's not gonna help much, but alright, we'll get to 10 kilometers and then we will work with that. So there goes our comrade speeding ahead. We have lots of electric charge, no problems there. Just waiting till closest approach, which is about now-ish. Right, now I want to see the readout for the target and retrograde, please, so we can start cancelling out our difference, which is not much. And that gives us, well, not much. Okay, just before I mess it up too much, we've pushed it in the wrong direction. Right, just get it onto the retro. Stuff is happening. Actually, I think let's do prograde because we do need to move towards it. But now, okay, let's do this logically. We are in a lower orbit. We want to go into a higher orbit, so we need to accelerate from a normal orbital standpoint. Hey, using my brain for a change, hey? Okay, let's just see what we can do with that. It should take us closer. Then we can reevaluate. Now we're splitting up again. Eesh! It's too far already, so I think in this instance I'll just burn towards the target. Now why are you doing that? The target is actually... Oh yes, we are moving away from it, that's why, of course. So let's just do it this way. Yes, that works. The difference is so small that doing the speeding up to go higher is not really a good idea. And also speeding up means that we'll be slowing down. Right, now I'm going to do the retro. We don't have to go, but now we're going to be doing our first spacewalk as well, which was not exactly planned. Oh well. Right, now we should have good data here. 4 kilometers. Then we just wait until we catch up. And actually it's much closer than the readout said. Now go back to the retro, see where the actual retro is and try to cancel them out. Better this way because we slow down, make the differential less. Right, now it's 0.8, perfect. And now Comrade Simone will also activate or trigger. And I think now we can just cancel it out. World's first, so we actually did a rendezvous without doing an actual rendezvous, but anyway, so there we go, we've done a rendezvous. And I'm thinking maybe I'm not rescuing anybody else because they mess up my strategy. Anyway, let's switch over. So this is actually just a basic lander can here, and it's no less Jeb's spaceship parts company that launched poor Simone. So Jeb, you are actually in the other capsule now. It's your fault. Your company has done this thing because he thought he was gonna start a rival space launch agency, and this is what happened. Tisk tisk, right? Anyway, poor Comrade Simone. He's an engineer, so actually it works out perfectly. So we have 2 scientists and 2 engineers. Right, Comrade, are you ready for your first spacewalk? And the very first one in history. Shift and... what's the thing now? Space. Shift and space to jump away. Turn your lights on. And now we have more space debris. Tisk tisk, Jeb. Right, so we've done another world's first milestone. 2 of them in one mission. So now we don't even have to do the rendezvous with the other Harmony capsule. Not too much in one mission. I want to spread it out. So, contract parameter, we saved Simone Kerman, part of the space program crew, and we did a world's first spacewalk. So maybe we should thank Jeb for that and his company. Right, now we have to be careful not to slam into it. This will also be, I think, the first transfer of a crew. Slow down, full retro, right, go up. No, careful comrade, but this is the first spacewalk, so we don't know what we're doing. F, turn your lights off so you don't blind Jeb, and then Jeb, is your suit on? Board. Right, we've done it. World first crew transfer near Kerbal, so we're hitting all the milestones this time. Poor comrade Simone. Right, now, I don't know, guide me, how should I pronounce his name? Simone? Doesn't matter too much, but you know, he's part of our crew now, so there's a responsibility. Right, let us prepare to go back. This will be a short flight, I think. Let's not get any more milestones. And now we'll deorbit the whole thing, since that is what we want to do anyway. Burn. And that's fine. I'm not going for a specific location now. Separate that, and then we can separate this as well. And now we see if this thing can do a re-entry, which we haven't tested yet because we skipped the uncrewed test. But it should be fine. Right, comrades, I'll see you on the ground. Right, comrades, we are re-entering off the coast of the Riviera. This is another one of my imaginary locations on Kerbal. I always think of this kind of semi-desert area right here on the west coast of the main area where we launch as the Riviera, where the millionaires play and so on, because it's a nice sunny area by the coast and all of that. You also see a little island there, that's St. Minnie Island. Minnie was one of the wonderful ladies who helped to raise me, so she was like a second mother to me. So there is the Riviera. Luckily we don't crash on any millionaire's mansion there. That's also why we can't launch a retrograde from the spaceport, because I don't want to risk the backlash from the public if we damage anything there. Can you not see all the yachts? I certainly can. Anyway, let's complete the re-entry and of course deploy the parachutes, otherwise we'll certainly have a spectacle here. And now hope the thing doesn't rip off. I'm just gonna F5 this. It's too late, but maybe. Yes. Right. And another favorite location on Kerbal, we should do a grand tour of Kerbal one day, is Kerbal Tahiti. Or I guess Kahiti then, if we go with the theme, which is on the other side of the planet. Every time when I visit there, I play Polynesian music. Obviously not on camera, that would get me a copyright strike. But anyway, you know, just to get the feeling for this remote island on the other side of the world, this tourist paradise. We should build like a holiday base for our comrade Kerbals there, so they can relax at least once in a while. Right, too many iterations, blah blah blah. We're going straight down. Hide the marker. And splash, 5 meters per second. Such a gentle landing. And do we have seawater as a sample? Let's just grab a vial. We don't have that option yet. Just get an EVA report. I hope they made this spacesuit waterproof as well as space-proof. Well, they certainly did, comrade. Board and get a crew report as well. Our mateys, let's show those landlubbers at KSC who the masters of the high seas truly are. Absolutely. I should keep the X-Science thing open more. Right, so at least we have some kind of data from this mission as well. Which means I should still do a scientific expedition to the oceans too. But we're taking it easy. Right, 5.2 science from that. And Simone, I'm going to say Simone instead of Simone. Simone is a lovely lady's name, so Simone is going to be a lovely gentleman's name. There we go. Right, Simone gets credit for the first EVA and orbital EVA, etc., etc. But Jeb gets EVA in the waters, so Simone. I just have to remind myself of the name. Right, let's just check who else is here, just out of interest. I think it's the same still. So there's our great crew of patriots and tourists. And there is now another satellite for Ionic. 4.3 degrees. Check this data, otherwise I get into trouble. They also want mystery goo. I'll grab this for sure. Right, now I think we'll bring our other comrades home, just because I don't want to leave them out there. We still have the Marcy Mark probe in orbit for some reason. This should be coming back home now. What's your periaps is too low. Eish! This is gonna fly here forever now. That's where I said before, the physics simulation doesn't kick in unless an unmanned or not the player craft, but a craft that's like this in the background being simulated, unless that orbit intersects within 20 kilometers of Kerbal's surface or sea level, it's not going to re-enter. Now obviously if I fly this for real, it would slow down enough to re-enter, but I'm not in the mood to do that. So I'm going to terminate this thing. It was just the upper stage anyway, and it will re-enter anyway if I sat with it the whole time. So let's see, is there anything else? Proxima 4 is still there, good. Pioneer 1 is on its usual orbit. Pioneer 2 is on its escape trajectory out of Kerbal. Why are you saying that? You're not escaping. Uncle Mike, you are captured. Ah well. Echo 1 Mates 989 is in orbit where it's supposed to be, but what I sometimes do for these kind of commercial contracts, I'll hide them because this is technically not our satellite. This is the experimental engineering satellite. So now that we've done that one, I'm going to go into information and you double click on the name right there and then you get the info, so you don't have to go all the way to the craft. I'm just going to put this on debris. It's still there, Comrade Mates 989. This is not deleted, I'm just hiding it from our normal flight display here, so I make way for our own craft. So it's still there. If I just put the debris on, we'll still see it. Right, so Harmony 1 is what we're interested in now. Simone's heap is also being... Should I terminate this? That's kind of cheaty unless it's already in the atmosphere. That I'm perfectly willing to do. No, we'll just hide it. It's debris. We have to live with consequences. This is another reason why I don't want to do rescue contracts anymore unless it's a really perfect one in terms of our objectives. You can see the comms lines are still there, but going into nowhere to the hidden satellite. Just because now it's not ours, so we don't really care further about the seeing it here. Right. We can also do that with the other satellites in a while, to decommission them in a way, since I don't know if they have fuel, we can re-enter them or move them into a graveyard orbit as our debris standards stipulated. Anyway, just finished off the last of my tea, so that's getting showing me a sign there. I think we'll just wrap up with this landing today. Maybe. What's the time now? It's 8 o'clock. Maybe. Let's just re-enter first. Full retro. Actually, what I can do... Bob, you're a scientist, right? EVA for me, please. Now, this is our second EVA. And I like this kind of suit for EVAs. It's not as bulky as the other one, the traditional one, so that I can say is more for the surface of various planets. Anyway, on moons. But now what I'm looking for is for our comrade to give us various EVAs and then to store them. Whoops, that was fast. You can't time warp with the Kerbal on the ladder. Unless it's physics time warp. Grab it. Save that. Store the experiments. Alt forward arrow. Make sure he's not falling off. I don't want him to be in a free flight. This is purely getting out of the capsule. Right. Prepare to slow down. We're coming up to the coast and the ocean. Getting messages on my phone. Grab that, that's near the shores. Store the experiment. It's Facebook posts. Alright, never mind that. Where's the grasslands? We'll be going over the coast, the actual ocean in a moment. EVA, save, store. This will be a really good mission. Oh yes, also another thing, comrades. I didn't even know, maybe there was a comment on this previously, but I didn't see all of the previous videos comments yet. I was just going on the Reddit page of KSP and I received a message that I was invited to be a moderator for an Admiral Andre Reddit page. So I don't know who made that. As I said, I actually need to check all the messages. I haven't had time to do all of them yet. But whoever made that, thank you. You saved me some trouble there. So there is a page. I'll put the link in the description for you if you are interested. I need to now set it up so I get messages and so on. Let me just see. Actually, while we wait to see if there's new biomes, I'll just, I have an app on my phone. It's called the YouTube Studio, YT Studio. So if you are also making videos and so on, you can see all your latest comments there. It's much easier. So I just want to see, I think it was episode 10. Just looking to see if there's any comment about the Reddit. Jeb, smaller. Don't think so. No, snacks are ending. Yep, that's a good comment right there. Octopus thing really wants to go home. Absolutely. Don't know what you call that creature. Couldn't transmit. Wonder if I could do a search for it. Anyway, whoever did that, you can just post a comment and just let everyone know, because you deserve the credit. So anyway, there is now a Reddit page. Just want to see, is there anything else? Oh yes, after the last thing, I was playing a bit on my own after the last episode. I think we can just board now again. A career, and there I was making some communication satellites, so I was using our high orbit name as well, Echo. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be a great name for a communication satellite to call it Echo Star? And then I thought, that sounds a little too good. I'm sure it's used already. And I went to look, and of course there's already a company that uses Echo Star satellites. Ish! So if you can come up with a good name that uses Echo for our communication satellites later on, then I will be greatly appreciated in geostationary orbit. I just want to see if we get the mountains or something here. There, and it drops out of time warp as well. Fantastic mod. X-Science. Certainly recommend it. We'll also be going over the desert soon. While we're here with the scientist, look at his face. He's like, I'm hanging on for dear life and I'm supposed to report on what I see. But he's got a kind of a smile there. That actually looks like a stalker looking into your window. Anyway, but no, he's happy. Oh, poor Bob. Right, we're over the desert almost, so shall we grab something? You do, look, I want to read all of this stuff. Just store that. I think that's everything now. Well, the Badlands and all of that, but anyway, let's read the data. You look down and contemplate the desert below. Then you contemplate having a snack when you return to the ship, because really, snacks are far more interesting than a dusty desert. Absolutely, that's why I like the snacks mod as well. Right, this one we keep. The hills and valleys of the grassland seem even closer looking through a spacesuit visor. You begin to long for home and snacks. Need more snacks. Exactly. Yup, that's a mountain down there. What's of greater concern is the mountain of snacks that need to be eaten. Nom nom nom. Exactly, I love that. You chuckle at the idea that you're blocking someone's sunlight as they try to tan themselves on the beach below. You're reminded of the myriad sailors who have been adrift in the ocean below. And here you are, the first one adrift in space. That's a bit deep there. You feel like you're in a dream, just floating above the mountains below. Hey, you are floating above the mountains below. This is great. This is the community-sourced science reports mod. I think we'll just retro now. Let's go home. Our comrades long for more snacks. Yes, so I think that's it. I'll see you on the ground. I'll fast forward this part again. We'll be having a night landing, I think, but that's fine. Right, we're back. That was a very gentle re-entry. So it's time to deploy the parachutes. And I'll have to probably delete the upper stage again, just because it's going to be spinning around forever if it's not under 20 kilometers, and I don't think it is. Anyway, we can turn the lights back on. And just wait for our splashdown off this very lovely coast. And stops the time warp. Of course, the Safechute mod, certainly recommend that. And just time warp again and it will stop it again. Final Frontier is of course still keeping track of everything, and I think when we get back to the Space Center I want to plot our planetary transfers for the coming year or so, just so I know when to expect certain things. So if we want to do a basic flyby we can. Right, splashdown, absolute success. Recover the vessel. So this craft, the Harmony, is a stunning one. It works very well. Certainly a great improvement above the Gladius. And we have 48 science, so we can unlock some more things. Some good medals and ribbons and so on. We'll review all of that once they start accumulating more and we want to just look back again. We can see who's done what. Right, heavy rocketry, is it that time already, or do we go to the smaller ones? I think we'll still give the aerodynamic parts a miss for now. We do have the basic plane parts. Oh, ish, I forgot the heat shield test. I told you that would happen. Anyway, there's our first space station part. Maybe we can do something in that line. Possibly. You see the soil there as well. The soil is a nice word for saying waste from snacks. So that's how you can recycle it. I don't know exactly how they do that, but somehow the soil becomes snacks again. Well, they grow it there, I suppose. But anyway, we won't look too deeply into that. Wheels, more experiments, or we could try to go for adapters and docking ports. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. Definitely have to do something. We can do the... No, we don't want to do the larger engines yet. We have a good rocket for now. So it's either the docking ports, the space station parts, so we can do like a MOL, a manned orbital laboratory equivalent with the Gemini type craft. Or we don't need that now. Or it's the smaller parts for probes. I think we'll do the space station stuff. Oh no, the docking. We'll do the docking stuff. I just buy all of them there. Now, daytime please. And just have a look at our planner. So I suppose this would be in the tracking station or the mission control. Moho is beyond us now for the immediate future. Eve is probably a good option for a flyby, so I'll plot that. And we can see so many nice options. I'll just take what they recommend here. It's the most efficient, so I'll add an alarm. And we just check it, did it work? Yes, that's in 1 year and 8 days. We also do Duna, the closest neighbors that we have, so plot that. And that's a close one, so I'll add the alarm for that. That's in 91 days, so we want to do a flyby, a surveyor or something like that. Let's just see. Dress. Why is it Jewel then Dress? Because nobody goes there, but I'll make an exception. Plot that one. That's a long time from now. Very small window you can see. We could go somewhere here, but that's 4 kilometers as opposed to 3. Not much of a difference, so we can do it earlier, but it's no rush, so we'll add the alarm. Should we try a dual plot? That's in about 600-ish days. We'll add the alarm just for the sake of it. Right, that's it for now. So Duna, Eve, Jewel and Dress. Might give Jewel a skip, that's more advanced, you know, Voyager type exploration craft. But definitely the Duna flyby, we'll be doing that. Now, I just want to make sure there's no other outstanding issues that we have. Rescue Albrecht from orbit. No, we'll Albert will have to ask Jeb's spaceship parts company for a rescue. We have enough crew for now. So comrades, I'll see you in the next episode. We actually, well, Samon has been rescued and experimental data. I didn't even think about that, but of course the spacewalk reports covered that as well. Let me just go to our master plan and we just have a look here. Again, the green line. We did do the spacewalk, and the rendezvous. And the joint manned launch is finished now. So that also counts. Rendezvous counts. Obviously we have done extended duration 1, but not for this. So docking there's another rendezvous. Maybe the lunar flyby or orbit is the next goal. Anyway, I'll see you then, comrades. Have a wonderful and fantastic day. And as always, thank you for your enthusiasm and your support and your comments.